Hi everybody, Governor Roy Cooper here. We owe a deep debt of gratitude to our veterans who have fought for our freedom and safety here and abroad. You and your families have made tremendous sacrifices to give my family and me our freedom, and I'm so grateful. North Carolina is the most military-friendly state in the nation, with almost 800,000 veterans who call our state home. When veterans decide to leave active service, it's our obligation to help them transition to civilian careers and get access to the support that they've rightfully earned. I established the Governor's Working Group on Veterans Affairs, which focuses on job creation, health and wellness, as well as legal and financial services for our veterans. We're committed to continuing to ensure that our state is a great place for military families to live and work. Veterans, we are forever grateful. Welcome home.
Welcome home, warrior. With so many options, it can be overwhelming sorting through what resources and benefits you may qualify for. NC Serves is there to help you navigate every step of the way and connect you with everything you have earned through your service to our nation. Our Veteran Resource Guide has over 200 pages of federal, state, local, and nonprofit programs to assist you and your family.
Because of technology, we're all just bombarded with endless information. You can Google something for veteran services and it's just mind-boggling. And people are busy. They're going to work, they're going to school, they're raising a family, they're trying to do their hobbies, they're trying to have a good work-life balance, and they're trying to navigate a resource, and they get frustrated and often give up. So when you have a central point like NC Serves, you come in and say, I have been very frustrated getting connected to this particular resource. Our community coordinator will say, understand, what do you need, and we're going to get you there, and we're going to streamline it. When you walk in our doors or get connected to us virtually, we can get you all your services, and we're going to be honest with you about what services you can and cannot get, what you're eligible for. Maybe you're not qualified for that service, but our main services: housing, shelter, employment, benefits, navigation, social enrichment, legal, substance abuse, counseling, mental health, physical health, you name it, and we're going to find it. And if you don't think anybody can help you, I actually ask, please ask us. You don't know until you ask and until we've navigated through the community. And if it's a need that's not being met, we want to know that. Our partners are amazing. They'll come together and say, we're going to find a way to meet that need. Never underestimate just how committed communities are to taking care of veterans and their families. Not handouts, taking care of them. Giving them great employment opportunities, affordable housing opportunities, access to good medical care, those quality of life issues, those needs that everyone wants. I was surprised just how robust it really is. And then when you ask a community partner, most of the time they say yes, let's help, let's partner. You may land a good job, but after a while, you're missing what got put into you, which is this sense of mission. And then your purpose. It's like, well, I have a good job, but I don't feel that same purpose anymore. And even veteran spouses will tell us that. Getting connected to us, we'll get those social connections to where if you want to volunteer, great. If you just want to get on a in-person or a virtual coffee, we have all those options to where you kind of get that purpose again when you come back into the community. And you get connected with fellow veterans, and it's often people you knew and even served with. It's a small military in the grand scheme of things, and that sense of connectedness is what we want you to have. I love this because the community has come together. This work is hard. It's tough. It's tough on us. We focus a lot on self-care and taking care of our local team at NC Serves, but also our providers. But at the end of the day, we can say, hey, we made this community better, one veteran at a time.
Welcome home, warrior. Your service to our country came with great sacrifice and quite a few benefits. The Veterans Benefits Administration and our network of state and county veteran service officers across North Carolina are ready to help you identify and file for all the benefits you may qualify for.
Veterans, or rather soldiers, men and women, we're not accustomed to asking for help. We just jump in and do it. However, that could be a barrier for you coming into the office. We want you to come into the office today to assess just what's going on with you. We want to take care of you now.
The VA Regional Office assists veterans transition from military to civilian life. We assist with disability compensation, pension, education, veteran readiness and employment, and home loans.
Some services that a lot of veterans don't think of are the women's health. I'm very proud that in 2014 that they're open an office specifically for us women in our health issues, because we too do serve this country.
I'm most proud of assisting veterans that live within our community. These are our store clerks, our postmen, the people that we interact with every day, and we assist them to help better improve their quality of life.
For the veteran that is just transitioning out of the military today, we would like to meet them where they are. However, for that veteran that have been out for a number of years, we would also like to explain or get him or her into the office for those benefits he or she has earned.
One of the biggest challenges is that the VA system is quite confusing because we have so many benefits to offer, which makes it overwhelming to decide. You can meet with us and we could help navigate through those and see what you're eligible for.
Please visit one of our offices because you have earned these benefits. If I had to give a veteran any advice, one thing would be to register at the nearest veteran healthcare facility or seek medical attention through your private provider. Transitioning from military to civilian life is very tough. Please allow us to service you as you have served and protected this country.
Welcome home, warrior. For many service members, continuing their education is at the top of their list. When separating from the military, you may have questions about higher education. How do I find the right school? How do I pay for school? What about my GI Bill? Here in North Carolina, you have many options, many of which can be found in our Veteran Resource Guide. Our friends throughout the UNC system, our community colleges, and private universities are waiting to help you make your next chapter a successful one.
Walking in the doors can be pretty daunting, especially as you look at that transition process. So Daniel and I both going through the transition process ourselves, understand firsthand, some of those challenges, and they're hard to navigate. So starting at a university, it's who do I talk to, where do I go? That is why we exist. We're here as kind of that case manager, that first line of contact for them. So veterans, being a non-traditional group by nature, they have unique experiences. So I think maturity goes along with that, and it's not just an age thing, but it's an experience thing. So they're more worldly in their views. They have families, a lot of them. They live in homes, they have mortgages, they have full-time jobs. So the way in which we serve our veterans and the military families, it's going to be much different than what it looks like for a traditional student here at the campus.
Here at NC State, I work with our Veterans Education Office. Primarily here, we kind of are the administrative arm of really supporting our students on campus, meaning we can help our military-connected students with military withdrawals, advising questions, registration questions, GI Bill benefits. So if they're using benefits, we can assist them through the enrollment process and receiving those awards that way. And that's really what our focus is to kind of really support them holistically through an administrative process.
Veterans that come to Wake Tech find a place at the center where they can chill. They can meet like-minded veterans, they can discuss their concerns, they can receive assistance if needed, and then they can be successful in what they want to pursue. We are here with a veteran zone so that they can come in and talk to some of their fellow veterans. They can learn about all of the programs that we have. We have Student Veterans of America Club. We have a Salute, it's a Veterans Honor Society, and we're here to help them be successful, but also that they can be with a group that they can relate with.
The Veteran Zone is where it's at. I mean, because it's as real as you can be in there. You're surrounded by a bunch of combat veterans. We all done the same thing. We get each other. I was lost when I first got here. I was scared, and this is where my place of comfort was to be around other like-minded people.
I think important to us is treating every veteran and service member and family member separately. They're individuals. While each of them do have common transitional challenges, they're all unique in terms of what they're going through, and if we treat them that way, then they're going to respect that, and they're going to reach out for us for assistance when they need it.
Welcome home, warrior. What's my next career? Upon entering civilian life, it may be difficult to figure out what's the next chapter of your career should look like. Workforce Solutions and NC for Me have a wealth of resources to get you the tools, the training, and information you need to find a new career with purpose and potential. Employers across the state of North Carolina are eager to hire our veterans.
I believe that if you have served this country, you can certainly serve in any company in this country. NC for Me understands that it's difficult to transition out of the military into a career in the civilian workforce. So we have created NC for Me to make that transition easier. We are going to allow any of our veterans, our Guard and Reservists, our spouses, and our transitioning service members to connect to companies across North Carolina by simply putting their information into our Career Connection tool. NC for Me employs a team of individuals that are veterans, that are military spouses, so they understand what you've done in the military, they understand the sacrifice that you have made, and they're really good at educating employers on the value proposition of what the value really is with military talent.
We are North Carolina Career Center. In general, we provide a variety of services, employment services, career assessments, assistance with resume, assistance with workshops, and any of the employment services that we have to offer.
A lot of veterans don't seek help. And I think by having an organization like NC Works and Career Center with all the programs, it's another outlet to help them. A lot of times it's easier to blame somebody for your mistakes. And it's kind of hard for you when you blame so many people to, like, you know what, hey, I need to take a step back and look at myself in the mirror and seek out that assistance. And I think by, this organization, it's the gateway. It's just, it opens up the doors. Hey, here are some things that we can do for you. If we can't do these, then here go other avenues and other resources that we can provide for you.
We have a team of individuals that understand you, that are veterans, that are military spouses, that help create that connection with employers across the state. So we make sure you're taken care of from the minute you come into our organization and working with us to the minute you exit, and hopefully grab that career that you're going to love for the rest of your life. North Carolina believes that if we trusted you with our country, we can certainly trust you with jobs across our state.
Welcome home, warrior. North Carolina is fortunate to have 4 VA medical centers, over 24 VA clinics, 6 vet centers, and many state and community partners available to assist you with medical care that you are entitled to for your service to our nation. Don't hesitate to reach out. They're all there to serve you.
The state of North Carolina is committed to being the most veteran-friendly state in the U.S. Veterans who live in North Carolina may be eligible for care from the Veterans Health Administration, from non-VA resources, or from some combination. If someone is enrolled in VA healthcare, they should expect to get primary care services, and the primary care doctor can then help them figure out if they need access to specialists. I think one thing that younger veterans don't realize is that they are as eligible for health care as some of the older veterans or those that they've seen that are suffering from physical wounds of war. There are also the invisible wounds of war, and one of the things that veterans should think about is the toll that service has taken on them psychologically and whether that's something that needs to be investigated.
Here at the Vet Center, we do individual counseling, we do marriage counseling, we do family counseling, and we do group therapy. When a veteran gets out of the military, there's a lot of difficulty transitioning from being a veteran to being a civilian. The Vet Center can walk you through that process and get you to where you need to be. Not only do we serve veterans, but we serve active military, including Guard and the Reserves, as well as their families. And one of the new services that the Vet Center offers is bereavement counseling for family members of anybody who's died while serving on active duty.
One of the hallmarks of the VA is that primary care serves as the anchor for the whole system. If a veteran seeks health care at the VA, they will be assigned a primary care provider who will perform a comprehensive assessment and get them connected to the resources that match their needs. Behavioral health care is now integrated into primary care.
At the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic here in Fayetteville, we service post 9/11 veterans, active duty service members with a TRICARE referral, Guardsmen, reservists, and their family members, all regardless of role or discharge status. If they've worn that uniform for more than a day, they're definitely welcome to our care. As soon as they walk through the door, they've made the first step towards their mental health issues. Here at the Cohen Clinic, our clinicians provide brief evidence-based, client-centered therapy all on an outpatient basis, as well as we provide case management services and resource referrals for things that are like finances, education, housing, and as well some of our clinics do provide transportation to and from the clinics within a 30-mile radius. We also provide child daycare in certain clinics.
It shouldn't matter whether a veteran lives close to a VA hospital or a VA clinic, or whether they live in rural parts of the state. They deserve and are entitled to excellent health care. A lot of new technologies have come into play so that veterans can access care through their home.
The Cohen Veteran Network, or CVN, telehealth video therapy is what we use. It essentially creates our clinic becoming a clinic without walls. This allows our clients to be able to receive care right from the comforts of their own couch without having to leave their own home.
It's important for veterans to remember that they serve their country with distinction. No matter which era they served in, what branch they served in, or what their role was when they were active duty, healthcare benefits are important and will partner with you in your journey.
Are we good audio-wise? All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Governor's Working Group on Service Members, Veterans, and Families. Thank you to those in attendance, those that are joining us online. I think it speaks volumes about the level of passion and commitment that we have in the state of North Carolina, that we have a meeting like this, that we're able to fill the room once again, even after COVID. And so very deeply, I appreciate you lending your time, your effort, and your expertise to this. Some keen observers may have noticed that I am not Crystal Miller, your usual host. Crystal is recovering from back surgery and is at home today, but I know that she's watching online, and I'll do my level best to fill in for her. And of course, our thoughts are with her for a speedy recovery. A few acknowledgments before we get started. I want to thank our host, NC State University, and Director of Military and Veteran Affairs, Nick Drake, for graciously sharing their space with us. Of course, our GWG co-chairs, our subcommittee members, for the great work that they do in supporting the working group. And once again, to all of you, our attendees, for sharing your time with us today. So at this time, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base Color Guard, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please place your hand over your heart and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, so as we're starting this meeting off in our new format, I want to remind all of us, and even those of us that are working in the GWG work on a daily basis, that the aim in this event is to promote collaboration between government and community-based family and veteran services in hopes of improving and preserving the lives of our state service members, veterans, and their families. And it is in the spirit of that goal that we find it necessary to remind ourselves of the true consequences of our endeavor. Before we proceed with our discussions, I would like to take a moment to pay tribute to the brave veterans who we have lost to suicide in North Carolina. We remember them today not only for their service to our country, but for the unique challenges that they faced after returning home. For many, the transition back to civilian life can be difficult, and unfortunately, some may not receive the support that they need to cope with the physical, emotional, and mental toll of their service. As we work towards improving services and resources for our veterans and their families, let us take a moment to remember those who are no longer with us. Their memory reminds us of the urgency and importance of what we're doing here today. Together, we can honor their legacy by making a real difference in the lives of our veterans and their loved ones. Thank you. With that said, we will move into our co-chair updates. Unfortunately, Secretary Gaskin couldn't be here with us today, but we will have Assistant Secretary Terry Westbrook up for some opening remarks and to kick off our co-chair updates. I keep asking for a better looking picture.
It's not the picture. Thank you. First off, welcome. Thank all of you for being here. We've got like 50-some people here in attendance today. That's fantastic. I'm very happy with that. Secretary Gaskin sends his thanks for your work and everything like that. As a lot of you might know, he is on his honeymoon right now. So he'll be back next week ready to do secretary work again. But right now he is definitely somewhere we're not going to interrupt him. So he thanks the governor also is aware, and we're continuing to update him. Several things that the department has going on right now. Let's see if I was going to make this work. Down. How's that? Got it. Happening now. So department's engaged with the General Assembly. As you know, we are in long session, dead in the heart of it. The House has already done their budget and given it over. The Senate is working on their budget. There are a lot of issues in there that we're working on for the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs. So as you interact with your local legislatures, both from the House and the Senate, please give them as much support as you can towards supporting the department so that we can provide the services that you expect us to provide. Community Veteran Engagement Boards. Paul Berry has got that. We've got a regional event coming up here pretty soon. We'll have all 6 of the boards will be in Raleigh, right? All 6 of the boards will be in Raleigh. We'll be talking with the VA on that, and we've got a lot of stuff within the Community Veteran Engagement Board that we're working on to not only keep them active, but to make sure that we are collaborating statewide, and when Wake County identifies an issue, we're able to go back out to Western North Carolina and see if the same issue applies, see what they're doing to fix it. So we're working on the collaboration that makes all that work. The next Veteran Affairs Commission. We just held quarterly Veteran Affairs Commission meeting this past Monday. This one is primarily about approving scholarships. So we spend a lot of time on the North Carolina Children of Wartime Veteran Scholarship Program, presenting a lot of information. And of course, the Veteran Affairs Commission has the charter to approve those before we ever notify the students. So at the end of everything, they still got to put their stamp on it before we can do anything more with it. So we just had that meeting this past week, or this past Monday, went real well. And then Memorial Day. I know I've already got a couple of engagements scheduled. Imagine that. Secretary's got a couple. Memorial Day is a big deal for the military, as we all know. There's a lot of celebrations go on statewide. We've got stuff that goes on for different reasons. Some of them, even state agencies now. We have Military Appreciation Month starting in May, and we're actually speaking to the start of that on the 8th. So a lot of different things happening. As you see, even the battleship, they're having a ceremony on the deck of the battleship on Memorial Day. I'll be down there. I would invite any of you that are in the area to please be in Wilmington and laugh at me for speaking and whatever it is that I say. So thank you very much. Coming up next, the state veteran homes. And the reason I put this on there is, as you know, number one, we've got a brand new home we're trying to open in Kernersville. It's closer and closer. It's getting closer and closer. We're working with the Department of State Health Regulation to get the final certificate inspection done so the certificate of occupancy can be issued. The state construction office, the contractor, the designer, everybody's working together. We're at the end. I saw this week that state construction has certified everything that was on the punch list, just so you know. So they're ready for the inspection to happen as soon as we schedule it and see where we go from there, but we're anxiously awaiting opening. However, Kinston State Veteran Home, we've put a brand new roof on that building. We're putting a brand new HVAC system in it. Fayetteville State Veteran Home, we're putting a brand new roof on that place. We're putting a new HVAC system in it. Black Mountain State Veteran Home, we're going to put a brand new HVAC system in it. Salisbury, we're going to remodel and turn it into private rooms here in the near future. We've got a tremendous amount of renovation and repair and restoration that we're doing in the program, literally millions of dollars that we're putting just into upgrades, facility management, a lot of stuff there. So it's going to be ongoing over the next, but all the time from now on, you're going to be hearing about projects that we're doing in one place or another. The cemeteries, as some of you may or may not know, our veteran cemeteries, a couple of them are getting pretty close to filled. Probably within 10 years, maybe even less than that. So we've got some expansion projects that we've got the grants approved for, about $2 million worth of expansion, where we're going to actually grow some more spots. We're going to improve some land and get it ready to go. So we have a lot of work going on at the cemeteries, not only with expansion, but with current beautification. So as you're riding around, and if you go to any of them, if you go to any of these places and you ride through and you look at something and say, hey, maybe they could plant a yellow flower instead of a red one, or maybe they could put up a video board instead of a hard board or something like that. Just let somebody know. Let me know. We're looking at things all the time for improvements, from the community-based improvements to actual resident improvements or whatever to take care of it. So a lot of stuff there. We talked about Kernersville already. The summer conference, NASDVA, one of the two big organizations that the department is part of is the National Association of State Directors and the National Association of State Veteran Homes, two big national boards that look into all the issues on a federal level associated with our programs. We've got a conference coming up in August where all 50 states will be getting together. We'll be talking about a lot of the issues specifically between the states and the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, what we need help with from them and what we need them to look at as far as programs to try to help redo. A lot of this Community Veteran Engagement Board that we're working on is moving through NASDVA. John Borsler, a lot of y'all are familiar with his name, is very involved in that, and it's become part of what we do. So North Carolina is leading the way on this particular program, and we're creating a lot of footprint that a lot of people are trying to walk in. And then the last thing is this National Vet Resources Community Network Conference. It's going to be in Nashville. This is another byproduct of the Community Veteran Engagement Board program, where the VA recognizes that people have good ideas. Imagine that. And they've created a little bit of an online forum where you can share your idea, but they've also created this conference where you can share your ideas one-on-one, in person, with folks all over the country, and they're also talking about the things they're doing to help us get that better. So exciting stuff out there this summer on a lot of different fronts for us. Last thing next, most of you are familiar with the old the VAC, Veteran Experience Action Center. It's now called a Veteran Benefit Live. We just finished one here about a month ago in Cary. Was fantastic, had over 1,000 people in it, over 1,000 veterans showed up and got serviced. I have not seen the actual ending numbers yet of how much award we came up with, but having said that, we have multiple events coming up. As you see, we got Kill Devil Hills coming up in about 3 weeks. They're going to have one out there. I'm going to go out and visit that for a couple of days. I'm sure Secretary Gaskin will probably work it into his schedule. We have a lot of our people going to be out there. We're taking service officers, and we're going to make that a big event. High Point's coming up here in the middle of the summer. It's going to be right in downtown High Point, right beside the High Point baseball field for the whatever they call their team. I can't remember. Okay, it's going to be right there, so they've got a lot going on with that too. We've got a great partner there. The Hero Center in High Point is involved. Western North Carolina is going to do a Veteran Benefit Live, but they're doing it a little bit different. They're going to do it 3 days, 3 locations. So they're going to do, I think they've got Brevard scheduled 1 day, and Asheville scheduled 1 day, and maybe Cherokee scheduled 1 day that they're working on different places. So they're going to do, it's a little bit more of a protracted event, but they're going to be doing it out there. Wilmington has already been scheduled once this year and has had to reschedule. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen. Same thing with Fayetteville. So, we're moving towards our goal of doing 10 of these a year. This is going to be somewhere in the 6 to 7 a year. I've talked a lot with Mark Belos about how important it is for us to really get into this program and how much of a cost savings it becomes to the regional office when we take care of 1,000 veterans in 3 days versus having to have 25 or 30 of his rating officials sitting there trying to do this over the course of weeks and weeks. So it's a efficient use of our resources. Fewer takeaways, as you say. Number one, busy few months, especially through the end of June, getting through the General Assembly, figuring out what everything looks like after that. Number two, and once again, thank all of you for that, but the subcommittees for the Governor's Working Group are all going to have an opportunity to meet this afternoon about 3:15, 3:30 for a little bit, talk to their members, talk about some of their initiatives, and really try to hammer down their way forward. So as we've said constantly, we're not just looking for you to tell us what your committee is there for. We're looking for you to tell us, what are you doing? What can you do? What do you want to do? And what do you need the state of North Carolina or the VA or whoever to get involved with to help you do the thing that you've identified? So I'm really looking for you to identify solutions, and this is part of that process. The last thing there, the community engagement boards. You've heard me talk about them. I'm very much into it. I think it's the right thing. It's a connected thing. Our Governor's Working Group and the Community Veteran Engagement Board is a natural fit with each other. It's just a way for us to continue to make sure that collaboration from High Point up to the state headquarters happens. Everything about that is, who do you know? What are they doing? Let's connect them. Let's make sure we got them. Let's get them in NC Serves and get them in our referral network so we can do the right thing with them. Let's make sure our software matches our hardware. Let's make sure that at the end of the day, all of it's about making sure that our veterans have access without complication to the services they need to do the thing they need to do with. That's really all I have. Is there anything I can tell, anything anybody's got that they need from me right at this instant? Dave? I'm all good. Thanks.
Terry, I appreciate it. Up next is Jonathan Benoit, Deputy Network Director, Vision 6.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Excited to be here with you today. I'm representing our network director, Mr. Paul Cruz. He had to attend to a meeting unexpectedly in Washington, D.C. I have a few exciting updates for you. For those who don't know, Vision 6, we have our 7 healthcare systems. We have most of Virginia and all of North Carolina for the Veterans Health Administration. So, like I said, a few exciting updates. I'll get into one with a co-payment expansion. Oh, I'm sorry. Forget I'm moving to myself. So I wonder why they're not moving. All right, so American Indian, Alaska Native co-payment exemption. This was effective January 5th, and it is retroactive back to January 5th. We had the final ruling in the Federal Register on April 4th, and it's exempting copay for eligible American Indian, Alaska Native veterans from copayments. I see the QR code on the right there. Anyone eligible, very easy to sign up, and all the information is available at that QR code. And with use of VA Form 10334, and then there's different requirements for proof that can be submitted. Another item is related to the PACT Act, which I'm sure many of you are very familiar with. Very exciting expansion of care that did a lot of things for veterans and our ability to care for veterans. And one of those items that we're watching closely is the toxic exposure screening. You can see out of 452,000 veteran users in Vision 6, and that number is actually higher than that already, because we're seeing veterans. I mean, as we speak right now, there are veterans being screened for potential exposure, and it's 55% we're at right now, and we're trying to target all veterans by the end of the year. It does say that primary care is the single point that we're doing the screening, but there are veterans who access our care through other means, through some specialty care and through mental health, so we are screening as well there, but the main component where the screening is occurring is primary care. And I have one video on the next slide. So then I'll share with you, if I can get it going. Just
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Today, is there any questions for me?
John, I just like a comment that VA Benefits Live and Carry, they were screening for the PACT Act. I think
Yes.
that's game changing, because I was there all 3 days and it was busy the entire time. From the time they opened the door to they closed the door, they were screening veterans. That's huge.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to, every opportunity that we have, we are doing that. So thanks for recognizing that great event. So, yes, ma'am. Correct. It's online. You can access it from the from your. I don't think we have an app. Correct. Yeah, not like an individual. I know what you're talking about, like an app where it would be the chatbot. That's a good idea, though. honestly, to bring back, but it's accessible at va.gov.
But if you do have a health concern, you can use My VA Health Chat, and you can download that. And Business 6, we opened up the My VA Health Chat option, where you can do pretty rapid appointments if you have an urgent issue. So we announced that a couple of times, but I can definitely bring that back because it sounds like there's a little bit of interest in that. So there's, unfortunately, VA has a lot of different mechanisms, but they're not all in one mechanism. We're moving there, hopefully. But VA Health Chat, you can download that app and access medical care specifically with our nurses within Business 6. And the VA chat box is like questions, like where do I go for, if I have, I don't know, mental health questions or suicide prevention questions for services or benefit questions. And that's 24/7 on va.gov. So.
Yep. Thank you, Tara. Tara Ricks, our Director of Public Affairs for Business 6, so thank you for supporting that. Yes, sir.
Yes, is this unique to Business 6?
No, it's a VA platform. Any other questions?
I do have a quick one. So,
Yes, ma'am.
is this new app taking the place of like My Healthy Vet? Because lately it just seems like there are so many different apps. Go to this and then it reroutes you to this, and it's like, where do we go anymore? It used to all be on My Healthy Vet and go to the blue button, and then now it's like, as soon as you log into My Healthy Vet, it reroutes you to va.gov, and then it routes you right back to My Healthy Vet.
So depending on your user access for My Healthy Vet, depends on what type of login you have to use, unfortunately. Because I'm a veteran, I have to use My Healthy Vet. So sometimes if I log in with certain credentials, it takes me to va.gov. But if I log in with my username and password, it'll just take me right to the My Healthy Vet platform. I would say that you have a lot of people that feel the same way you do, and that are inside the system, that are crying for a one-stop shop for all of these things. I've been told that they are looking to merge a lot of these different apps, but I wouldn't hold any of our breaths for that yet. But I do understand your pain point on that. I would say for the VA, for the chat piece, it's very unique. Only about 3 businesses throughout the entire nation have the chat piece, because it has a back end associated with all these nurses within our catchment area have to be able to operate and answer in live. If you have I'll call it an urgent care question, not emergency. Please call 911. So that's unique to us. So we have that app for Business 6, and 3 other different businesses have that. For My Healthy Vet, there is no app. Unfortunately, it is still, unfortunately, web-based, and that is painful for us all.
And thank you. And just to provide additional clarification to the chatbot is really to direct easy to get resources. And then think of our other platforms as more that personalized healthcare. So, all right. Anything else? All right. Yes, ma'am.
So for our older veteran community and veterans that are not tech savvy, veterans that don't use computers, don't have emails, but have some serious needs, how are we accommodating, how are we meeting their need, getting resources to them? So do we still have traditional paper mailing?
Absolutely. Our phone lines, nothing has, with the introduction of the chatbot, nothing has been taken away. It's just an additional resource. It's not very, resource intensive because there's a lot of like AI that's behind it to help out with providing direct into resources, but no existing resources are taken away for the use of technology such as this.
I think it's also really important to note that a lot of our high users of social media and web are actually in their 70s. So our analytics show that that's the majority of our users are between 66 and 70. So there's various resources for all different levels and preference. I think that's important to note because finding that age is actually not really a barrier in technology. It's just really about preference now. So.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your questions.
All right, next we have Ellen Braswell, Assistant VRE Officer, Winston-Salem Regional Office.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of Mark Belos, our director, and he regrets not being able to be here today. He is with our Southeast District Director, who is his boss today. So I got to come instead. I'm really glad to be here. This is the first time I've been to the Governor's Working Group, so it's really an honor to be here. And I want to talk a little bit about let's see if I can get to the next slide.
Down or right.
Thank you. The Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxics Act. I had to rehearse that because PACT Act is so much easier to say. So we'll just go with the PACT Act from now. That is the big news for Veterans Benefits Administration, and now is really the time to apply for the PACT Act. It was signed into law August 10th of 2022, and so claims that are completed before August 10th of this year may be retroactive. So after August 10th of this year, it's from that point forward, but they can go back to August 10th. So if you can assist people, I know many of you are veterans or you work with veterans directly, and you can get this message out. It's really important. We need your help to have the word out to veterans to apply if they have one of the presumptive conditions. This is a very big. It's historic. It is as big as maybe the GI Bill from World War II, and so please encourage people to seek benefits if they are eligible. And the benefits are to expand the health care, VA health care, and benefits to veterans who have been toxic exposed. And so it's going to cover Vietnam, Gulf War, post 9/11 era veterans. And so this, as I said, the time now is to apply. It expands the Agent Orange presumptives and over 20 new presumptive conditions for burn pits and toxic exposures. Adds more presumptive exposure locations. So if you go to va.gov/PACT, you will find all of the information. There's a long list of presumptive conditions. It's actually, I was surprised at the list. Hypertensive, vascular disease, and allergic rhinitis are the most common. And there's several cancers and asthma, bronchitis. So there's a lot of conditions that may have occurred as a result of exposure to toxics. And so we've received, let's see, more than 544,000 PACT Act claims overall, and actually that amount is higher. $1 billion's been paid out at this point. And the Winston-Salem Regional Office has granted over 10,000 PACT Act claims and paid out over $35 million. And we're the fourth highest state in retroactive awards. And I think I covered most of it. I do want to say we're hiring a lot of people. Now's the time if you ever wanted to work for the VA. There are 2 positions now, veteran service representatives and rating service representatives. And so those are people that are processing the claims and making the decisions about the percentage of the disability compensation. And the national job announcements close May 4th. The other one is a legal administrative specialist, and that's with our national call centers. Once those close, there's going to be another posting probably just after that. So on a national level, VA is hiring, but the Winston-Salem Regional Office is also hiring. We've grown by about 30% in the past year and a half. I just spoke to a new employee orientation group, maybe 30 people coming in. So now is the time to file a claim and apply for a job with the VA if you're interested. I am with the Veteran Readiness and Employment Division, and I'm the Assistant VRE Officer there. We are also hiring, we're a little smaller than the Service Center, so we are going to be hiring 5 new vocational rehabilitation counselors and 1 supervisor. So our openings will be small in comparison, but we're excited about that because we're also growing as a result of the PACT Act. Go to the next slide. And the Veterans Benefits Live, you asked about the amount, $105,000 and benefits, and at that event, retroactive benefits during the event. We served 1,000 veterans. We had the same number there, and 15 states were represented. 406 disability compensation claims, 212 supplemental claims, 262 PACT-specific claims, and assisted 25 homeless veterans. And then they were also doing the healthcare screening. We had 78 new veterans enrolled in VHA and then completed 275 toxic exposure screening. So we'll be doing the same thing at the upcoming event, and that is the in Dare County with the my town, and that is at Kill Devil Hills. And I think you had that up as well. I've got the address, the dates of May 18th through the 20th, and all of the folks that will be represented there. So this will be a very large event, and we will have folks there. Any questions for the Veterans Benefits Administration, Winston-Salem Regional Office? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am in the Army Reserve, and I work for the Army Reserve, and a lot of things that I'm hearing from soldiers are that they don't know that they can apply for the PACT Act while being in the reserve because it's going to connect the two and possibly also get them med boarded out. I don't know how to comfort them to, I don't know, but that's a big issue with a lot of our veterans that are serving in the reserve right now.
Okay, I will take that concern back, and because, I mean, share the information too. I think that's important. I understand that concern. Any other questions?
Ellen, I do have one quick question. Since this is in Kill Devil Hills and we're closing in on the VHA side, we're closing in on the Norfolk district.
Correct.
Correct. Got it.
That's going to cover a lot of areas, a lot of.
Well, that's what, I was going to make sure that we were incorporating them, make sure they were all part of it. Thank you. I need to be taught.
And can I speak with you after and make sure I get your information? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, we have Ms. Renee Rader, Assistant Director for Policy and Programs at DMH.
Hi, everyone. I'm Renee Rader. As he just said, I am honored to be here, as always, representing the Department of Health and Human Services. I do work for the Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Use Services. And again, I'm honored to be here, as always. I only have a handful of updates today, but boy, are these biggies for us. So the first update that I want to share, if you aren't already aware, is that Governor Cooper has signed Medicaid expansion into law, and this is huge. It's a huge benefit for all citizens of North Carolina. We are just in the beginning stages of talking about how to roll that out, how to make sure that we're reaching out to people, how to make sure that we are making things as easy as possible for everyone. So more information on that will be coming. But the other thing that we're really excited about in our division is that we are charged with being stewards for state dollars. So we provide the funds for services for people who aren't eligible for Medicaid. A large portion of the people that we're funding services for will now be moving into Medicaid-funded services. And so it's an exciting opportunity for us to look at how we're using our dollars and how we can use them better and have a broader reach. So that's really exciting. And we are expecting, I'm looking at the notes here, we're expecting that this will expand coverage to over 600,000 people across North Carolina. Along with that, Governor Cooper released his roadmap for $1 billion, and that's a B, $1 billion in behavioral health and resiliency investments. And I have a breaking update. As of yesterday, House Bill 855, I think it is, was passed so that we can get these investments in place. Of course, it still has to pass the Senate, but we're very hopeful. We're seeing most of the items that were in the governor's roadmap are reflected in this House bill, so that's very exciting. And so the roadmap invests in making services more accessible and available, so getting into communities that we maybe don't fully have services in. It also is looking at building strong systems to support people in crisis and people with complex behavioral health needs. So bolstering our crisis system. We know we have crisis services in the community and we know it's not enough. And so looking at that and how we can do that better. Also, we have a significant number of people in North Carolina who have complex behavioral health needs. And we want to make sure that we are meeting those needs appropriately and making the services accessible to them. And then the final bucket under that investment is data and technology. And so we want to be data-driven. We want to make sure that we are providing solutions that make sense, and we can't do that without the data and technology available. And so there will be investments in other types of technology, electronic health records, and that sort of thing. So all very exciting. And I could stop there, but I'll give you a couple more other updates. And so the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is also working with the Department of Commerce to participate in the North Carolina Caregiving Workforce Strategic Leadership Council. And I have to read that because that is a long word. But that group will convene, it'll be a group of state leaders convening to talk about workforce issues across North Carolina. And I'm really excited that the 3 areas that they identified are very specific to our department's work, and specifically the Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disability, and Substance Use Services work. So those focus areas are direct care, nursing, and behavioral health. The other update is that the Medicaid continuous coverage policy under the COVID public health emergency flexibilities is starting to unwind. So Medicaid is working with our county departments of social services and others to notify beneficiaries of any changes that are coming to their Medicaid eligibility. Let's see, the other update, Health Choice. So North Carolina's children's health insurance program is called NC Health Choice, and that's a program that is similar to Medicaid, but not fully Medicaid. We are moving all of the children who are in that program over to regular Medicaid. And what that is going to do is that's going to do a whole bunch of things. So that is going to give those kids and their families access to more providers. Right now they have a limited group of providers that they have access to. It's going to make them eligible for, I got to read it, early periodic screening, diagnosis, and treatment, which is a great benefit. So it's EPSDT. That is a benefit that helps kids who have Medicaid get whatever medically necessary rehabilitative services that they need, whether it's a covered Medicaid service or not. So all of these kids and their families will have access to those programs. There will be no more co-fees or enrollment fees. They will be eligible for the non-emergency medical transportation. And then really is very happy to report that this will now include coverage for pregnancy and 12 months postpartum. So moms can get that care, that coverage for 12 months following the birth of their child. Let's see, and then the last one that I have is that we have launched our new Quit line to make stopping tobacco use and vaping more accessible. It was launched on March 15th. You can visit quitlinenc.com to see that. The phone numbers for accessing that Quit line are listed there. And hopefully that will have a broad reach and we can start to begin chipping away at that again as well. And then my last slide is just the resources that I normally put up here. If you're interested in anything going on with our division, all of those links will get you there. And certainly if you have questions, comments, you are always free to reach out to me anytime. So thank you.
Switch quickly.
I'm sorry, you had a question?
I had a question. Yeah, from the beginning of the North Carolina Governor's Work Group, we had been checking with the North Carolina helpline to see who was calling, and we trained the operators to ask, are you a veteran or service member, or are you calling about one? And for years that we tracked this, the number one issue was, how do I get Medicaid for my children? It's something I don't think we ever successfully capitalized on, but I was thinking about it as you were presenting. It's all wonderful. Will the new Medicaid system be tracking if there is a service member or veteran in this family? If a child who's in Medicaid is having a problem because they don't have secure housing, and we can get them housing through VA, how will we identify that there's a veteran who could then access services through VBA? Will these systems coordinate around that?
I don't know, but I will find out. And I'll also make sure that that's on the radar of the folks who are going to be sort of digging into those details more. If you wouldn't mind sending that to me in an email, that would make it easier for me to follow up. But thank you for that question.
Thank you.
And next we have Gabriela Gonzalez, NC Works.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gabriela Gonzalez. I'm the Director for Veteran Employment Services, and I wanted to talk again about DWS and our services and where NC Works falls in. So, as you know, NC Works we have 80 local offices, and we are actually with the Department of Commerce, and then under that, we do Division of Workforce Solutions. But most of us do not connect with us in what we do. So I wanted to highlight this again, because we do provide employment services, and the job seekers can go online and register, or go to the nearest career center. Now, with COVID, as we know, it just substantially dropped the walking traffic. So we learned how to service people online, virtually, by phone, however we could do it, even going out and doing outreach, meeting them at the library, wherever we can get them, we would try to serve them there. So, as I said before, right now we have about, I think I went one back, yes. Slide 2, slide 1, slide 2, slide. Sorry, So right now we have about 80 career centers left. We partner with community colleges, with vocational rehabilitation, DHHS, everyone that is here, VRE, which is the Veteran Readiness and Employment right now, AKA Chapter 31, if you haven't heard about it. We also partner with the Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program. We partner with NC Serves. We have pilot programs going on in North Carolina right now, the Employment Navigator, the off-base transition training. So we are getting busy again. And actually for July 21 to 2022 of June, we served 15,918 veterans. Yes. That's not even counting the ones that we do outreach to that are not necessarily in the system, okay? So you can only imagine, because we do a lot of outreach. And then with that said, I wanted to highlight a job seeker service right now that is coming out and that you may have heard of. What is hot right now is the Commerce Reentry Initiative. It is starting back up. And the career centers, they assist the job seekers who have been just involved by concentrating right now on supportive services. So they are assisting with obtaining driver's licenses, piloting a new soft skill training program, and overall mitigating the barriers to employment. Because, you know, when somebody walks into the employment center, they're not necessarily all ready for employment. They have some other issues that are going on that have to be mitigated. And that's where the assessments come in. And with that, I'm very proud to say that we're right now having 7 veteran treatment courts right now. And the recent one being opened in Jacksonville, it was in March. So we have one of our veteran representatives already in there. And so we have Catawba, and as you notice, those are most of the rural areas too. Catawba, Forsyth, Buncombe, Harnett, Cumberland, and of course Onslow. And they're still working on others. I think the overall goal is to have really a veterans treatment court everywhere throughout North Carolina. And this is very important. So we provide as veteran services, which nobody connects us with NC Works, right? So we're Department of Commerce, Division of Workforce Solutions, NC Works, and then Veteran Services, which are also housed with NC Works. Most of us mix us up with the VA, you know, VA Healthcare, Department of Veterans Affairs, North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, you know. So I'm trying to highlight where we are at. And this is with the NC Works Career Centers. So we have actually veteran services. Those are specialized career services to veterans, transition military, military spouses, specifically for barriers to employment, okay? That's why it's very important. It's a holistic approach for that veteran, that military service member, that transitioning service member too, to provide that holistic approach, because they have several things going on when they come to the office. So we rely on all the collaborations and all our community partners to get that one person from point A to point B. So, and you may have heard of North Carolina for Military Employment, the NC4Me portal. We're also working with them. It's a public-private partnership. And we do a lot of hiring events with them, resource events with them. You probably heard of stand downs as well, Veteran Services of North Carolina, and all the other, I can't even, we have a long list. You've probably heard of them all. And so it's very important to connect us with NC Works, because we do an awesome job in trying to get the veteran assistance in everything that they have going on. Now we focus on the employment piece, but the rest is coming together by connecting with all the collaborations. So if the point of entry is NC Works first, then that veteran gets that service from NC Works first, and then gets connected with the other resources. If that veteran's point of entry is county VSO, that county VSO should be able to connect you to NC Works if they are looking for employment, and so on and so forth. So this is how we really want to operate. So that's why I'm repeating myself again and again and again. Check out our website, ncworks.gov. We have our veterans portal, which was initiated in 2018 with all the resources, veterans.ncworks.gov. Check it out. It's awesome. Can't go wrong. Thank you.
We're not going to let you go too far, by the way.
Thanks for your presentation. Question is, what determines a county getting a veteran treatment court? What are the determinations?
There is, from my understanding, there is some funding involved. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know much about it, but I know there's some funding involved within that area, and and a judge has to also be willing to do this. I can probably get you some more information on that. He can answer that.
We can have a conversation
Yes,
about Veterans Treatment Court
absolutely.
if that's what y'all want to do. I'd be happy to talk about Veterans Treatment Court. So, the The first thing about Veterans Treatment Court is the VA ends up funding the full-time resource guy that kind of coordinates everything. We can talk down to Onslow County. They just started one. Right. And they've got all the information on board. But as far as the establishing the Veterans Treatment Court, there really hasn't been a big funding model approached with it because it's really more of a decision at the county level to do it. Okay. So, you know, if you get your district attorney, you get the judge, you get the chief of police, you're gone. You know, if those three decide they want to do it, they just do it. You can talk to Honorable Henry Stevens, who is the big, you know, down there. You probably know him. He's the one that ramrodded Onslow County. But we went through, a lot of people did a lot of work on getting the other counties going. Secretary Gaskin is interested in getting every county to do this that wants to do it. I mean, if he could get 100 counties to go, he would support every one of 100 counties. But, you know, the big thing is to get the conversation between those three guys, decide you want to do it, and then come back to the department. We'll go to the VA with you and try to get you set up with the guy. And, you know, we know who the right people are over there, but it's really just talking to the VISN 6 and the regional office and talk about the funding it takes to make that work, to get that person hired.
Is the Governor's Crime Commission involved in funding those anymore?
Not that I'm aware of. Certainly the way they're now. I guess Mark Tichy was part of that. That's where he came from. And it was more like little grants and stuff like that. But this isn't even a legislative event. I don't know exactly. Yeah, it's really local. But like I said, the VA gets involved with the person that really does the full-time tracking and they keep up with the status. And what's the guy's name down there, Paul, in Onslow? The full-time guy. Kevin something or other. Yeah.
He used to work for us.
That's it. So he's a guy that just the VA brought on board and put in place down there to do the full-time tracking. But that's really what the issue is about on that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No worries.
All right, I hope Gabriella didn't get too comfortable because she's coming right back up here. We've got some subcommittee updates. We're going to hear from the Employment Subcommittee and then Housing.
Yes. Okay, so what I was talking about earlier is, you know, where we come from, DWS, Department of Commerce, and we are actually funded, the veterans that we serve, we're actually funded through the Jobs for Veterans State Grant. So these are the specified services for our veterans that we serve. So that's a DOL fund. So what is the role? So we hired a dedicated staff to provide the career and training related services, which are called SBEs, Significant Barriers to Employment, and help employers fill their needs as well. So we have people that engage just with employers, and then we have people that engage with the veterans only. And then we have people that engage in both. So they're called consolidated positions. And believe it or not, we have legal and regulatory guidance that affects our work, and that's the Title 38, Chapters 41 and 42. So it's not like we don't want to do something, we're not allowed to do something. You know, we have to go strictly by those guidelines. And that's why I wanted to go over those real quick, like the DVOP, which we call them Veterans Outreach Specialists. That's easier to remember. But they have certain services that they go by and that they can go into, which are the assessments, career guidance, labor market information, and all this stuff. So, for example, when they are in the Career Center, they only serve that one population, veterans. That's it. They cannot serve non-veterans. They serve some of the military spouses if they fall under the eligibility criteria, and they serve some of the transitioning service members if they fall under the certain criteria. So then we have what I call the LVRs, which are the ones that just go out to talk to employers. And they do hiring events and advocate for the veterans to get employed. They offer all the services that we have. If an employer wants to register with us, they can assist them registering. They can assist them with hiring events, anything they need. Then we have the consolidated, which is doing a little bit of both. So those are my favorite positions. I was one of them. You can just change the hat in a minute because I just rely on myself, talk to myself, and do what I need to do. So I wanted you to kind of see, pictures speak 1,000 words. I'm a visual person, so there you can see the system and who we work with and who is all involved and who, the arrow for some reason, it needs to be by the veteran, not agriculture, but that's another niche we're going into too. That's pretty interesting. But we work with community colleges, with commerce, university systems, depending on where the NCWorks is located at. And then, of course, we have our what is called prosperity zones. These are our distributions currently. We're really having about 66 for whole North Carolina, divided into certain, just for the employment outreach. As you can see, there's one LVR actually for the whole prosperity zone that's just talking to employers, except for the Raleigh area where we have Durham and Raleigh divided. They're special. And
Yes, we are.
yeah, so you can see the distribution. We're not that many to cover all these counties. So we cover multiple counties. So in general, the services that are available, career assessment, learn about job fairs, workshops, the job market, even if you register yourself on NCWorks, you can check out the labor market information, what type of jobs you're looking for, what is a hot job, what is a prospective good job that's coming up that everybody wants to be in. They even have videos about the position, so it's pretty neat. And this is kind of what it would look like when you go in under the LMI tool. You can check out the area, the unemployment rate, the wage rate, everything. You got everything right there. Same with, for example, accountants and auditors. There's a video about it because sometimes I think some people don't know what they want to be. They just say, I want to be something, and then they look at the video. No, that's not really what I want to be. So until you see the video or read about the job description, it's really good to know. So here are some examples of what it would look like, how much the job is advertised, the tools and technology. That's my alarm from my nap. Just kidding. And so this is how the NCWorks Veterans platform looks like. So, and it has some great stuff, and also has the little link on the bottom, the Pathways Employment webinar, where we did a webinar on all of this. You can check that out. And that's it for me. Try to be as fast as I can.
Thank you so much. Gabriella gets the Marathon Award for today. And up next, the Housing Subcommittee, and Jessica Rice of Veteran Services of the Carolinas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Rice. I'm the Assistant Director at Veteran Services of the Carolinas. I operate 28 Western North Carolinas for the SSVF Supportive Service for Veteran Families Homeless Grant. The subcommittee, for the Housing Subcommittee, these are some of the members that we have on board. We are definitely interested in growing membership, so if housing is something that speaks to you, even if you're not currently in the homeless or housing realm, please join us after this. We definitely want to incorporate some different members on our team as well. Mission statement, we'll kind of move through that quickly. You guys have seen that before, and you'll have that later. Some goals of our measurement, awareness, and advocacy, and things that we're looking for 2022, all the same that we've had, so we'll continue those into 2023. Key performance indicators is really why we're here. We want to talk about what is going on with housing and veterans and how we identify that across the state. One thing that we've noticed as a subcommittee is that everyone kind of defines all of these things differently. The way that you define a veteran in your program and the guidelines that you have could be very different from the veteran definition of others, and how those veterans receive those services depends on that as well. Also want to be able to reach out to households, family members, and others that would be involved in the veteran's life as far as their homeless and housing statuses. So for this project, with these KPIs, the numbers aren't as important. We're still gathering numbers from different communities. As we know, there's a bunch of different homeless management integration systems that everyone's using, so we're not all on the same platform right now. Veterans identified in any project type, so no matter where they touch the homeless system, we want to be able to identify those veterans. Right now, this is for about 6 different COCs, 1,334 of those individuals. Average days in the homeless system, 171. So what does that look like? Does that mean when they touch the system until when they exit into housing? Or is that when they became homeless 3 years ago before they started touching a system? That's another definition that we're looking at pretty intently. And then those exited to permanent destination. And what does a permanent destination mean? Are you permanently housed if you're living with a family member or friend, even if on a temporary basis? So we're continuing to look into what exactly those mean. We want to identify the KPIs, and we want to really move towards data sets and numbers with these, but really working on the words that we use as something that the subcommittee is focusing on right now, because we realize with the NC-SERV system, the HMIS system, home system, all of the different systems that we're entering in, they're not speaking to each other. There's been initiatives to try to get that to happen in the past, and data is a thing that I'm not familiar with, so if there's any data gurus in the room, we definitely want you in our subcommittee, but it's not matching up right now, so that's what we're looking at. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. So now one more kind of new and unique thing is that I'm really happy that we're able to bring in what's happening at the Community Veteran Engagement Boards. We've got 3 speakers. Paul Berry's going to kick us off and give us a statewide overview, and then we're going to dive into 2 local CVEBs. Thanks.
Down arrow, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to be short because I want to yield time for Brooke Dickhart, and then I don't think Al Lampkins made it here. Al made it. Okay. And Al, it's up to you if you want to share why your tardiness was well worth it today, because it really impacts what we do. I want to hit something before I go through this, was not underestimating just how connected we really are, and through our VA partners now and all these partners. Just speak for my organization and our NC serves. In the first 2 weeks of March, we had staff members use 988 for veterans who were suicidal with means. Use 988 and use the system, and then save those 2 lives. We're still losing veterans, but when a veteran is asking and reaching out, now there's even more of an umbrella out there, and it's a testament of the partnerships through the VA, the state, and these local nonprofits that I talk to a lot of people nationally, and they're looking at North Carolina and going, how in the world are you doing that? Because it's not a lot of money, we know that. It's trust between organizations. So that's what life looks like without a CVEB if you're in the veteran or in a veteran space. Happy to send that out. That'll be in the slide deck. I'm going to move fast. What's happening now? I'm not going to cover a whole lot because Assistant Secretary Westbrook covered most of it, and we appreciate the state's support with the Community Veterans Engagement Boards. But they're meeting nationally. The Chief Veterans Experience Officer, John Boycer, is bringing together partners from all 50 states and territories in Nashville in July. I think coming from that, we're going to have a lot of information. They are listening. That's just what I want to say is I know it's tough. I've chaired some CVEBs in the state, co-chaired, volunteered, picked up paper and cigarette butts and everything else just to help people. But they are listening to the information. If you look at the VEO's community playbook, which is like the new CVEB playbook, the first time it's been totally revised, it is very aligned with what we were doing with our collective impact models in the community. It all started way back with things like the community blueprint model, which is still, I believe, the only one that's still in existence in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And Saban Norris, you're one that put that together, and you don't get a lot of credit for that because there's others like Dr. Gaines that these people, yeah, there's so many people, yeah, You got John Friedenberg. It's just, but don't underestimate that. And I'll yield some time and let Al talk about that. But the playbook, email me, contact information. I've got cards. Most people know how to get a hold of me if you want to get connected. That national conference in Nashville is probably full. You can imagine if you got 50 states and territories, it would be huge. So I think they limited the attendance to about 300. It may be full. I don't know. North Carolina's leading the way. I think we have the second most number of active CVEBs in the country. And I look on the site and I'm like, that can't be. Virginia, Texas, Georgia. It's like, yeah, it is. So it's good. Community playbook I mentioned. Here's the locations of our CVEBs. The beauty is what has changed since COVID. And because of COVID, even though it was unfortunate, is we had to talk. We had no choice but to talk. We couldn't go anywhere. So we just started to talk. Email, phone, chat, Teams, Zoom, about, hey, what's going on in your neck of the woods? The voice of a guy named Phil in Greenville, North Carolina, his ideas, and he's old school, like Vietnam era. I love this guy to death. His ideas and thoughts are now making it all the way up to the Chief Veterans Experience Office. That's groundbreaking, where he says, look, I've been in this space for 25, 30, 40 years before CVEBs were even a thing, trying to work in the community. I think I have some good ideas, or I have information where the VA may benefit from it. They are listening now. Key takeaways. I felt kind of a rumble when we said the word alignment. There's nobody that has any authority to say, hey, you're a local CVEB and you will do this. They are run by volunteers in the local community. They can call themselves what they want. They can do what they want. We want to just have that information pipeline up to say, I think it gets some help. The last thing that anybody would want to do is have somebody like me or the state or the VA breaking something. Like, oh, I know what the problem is, but I'm going to break it. It's the opposite. So I just encourage that open communications to say, sometimes it's thanks, but no thanks. I think we're good. Let's recognize that it takes a long time to impact change, even at a local level. You have turnover, you have volunteers, so we know that's a thing. And we will reconvene probably statewide. It's going to be a little later. I got to look at that schedule with Nashville and some other stuff. I'm certainly not in charge. I'm just helping people do this. And then, Dave, I'm going to shut up and yield time to the. Can I introduce her?
Please do.
I have the honor and privilege of introducing the founder and executive director of the Joel Fund, Brooke Dickhart, who some days when I want to kick the can down the road and say, you know what, I can't do this anymore, I think of Brooke. I've even called Brooke on those days, and she's like, no, we can do this. So, Brooke, thank you.
I first want to say that when I submitted these slides, my picture was not on there. I put our VMFA logo. I've been to these meetings. I know how big they are on the projection, so I was like, no way am I putting my picture in there. Thank you for the invite to be here. It's an honor to get to tell you about our CVEB. So we started the Greater Triangle VMFA. It stands for Veterans, Military, and Families Alliance. Can't have something without an acronym if it's military related. But we started this during COVID. I'll give you a little bit of history. The work that we do and we spend a lot of time networking so that the veterans we work with, we can refer them and give them a warm handoff. I had several organizations within like a 6-month period approach me and say, I want to do a resource fair. Can you help me recruit the organizations and the veterans? I'm like, sure. But then what I started to recognize is that these organizations weren't talking to each other. They weren't communicating their efforts to each other. And so it wasn't proving to be effective for the organizations or the veterans. So I sat down with Paul and I said, okay, tell me about the blueprint. It's time to learn. It's time to do something like that here in the Triangle. So we started during COVID. We put together a steering committee. There was just under 10 of us that started meeting for probably about 9 months, put together a plan. We put together a mission and objectives. It's very simple. We're just trying to strengthen our local veteran and military community. We identify gaps and opportunities and barriers in service. We coordinate information on services, and then we educate veterans, military families, and community advocates on community-based efforts and suicide prevention. So what we've done, the way we structure our meetings, we have a monthly meeting. It's the second Tuesday of every month. We start off with a networking lunch. And then twice a year, we pick a social determinant of health to focus on. So we have housing, education, social enrichment, employment, veteran benefits, and healthcare. And we bring in panelists to speak on these topics because a lot of the organizations within our CVEB are not military organizations. So we want them to learn and to understand these communities. And so we bring in these panelists to talk on these discussions and to teach them. And I moderate with some questions and kind of get the conversation going, but it's a very open conversation. And so we also, it's hybrid, by the way. So we do them currently in our office space in Wake Forest, but we're gonna, last year we were kind of moving around the triangle, and we're gonna go back to that model just to be more accessible for our partners. But we'll continue the hybrid part because we do have people who can't be there, so they call in. Another big thing that we've been doing is we plan the Durham Resource Fair and Stand Down. So this year it will be on September 16th at Greystone Church in Durham. Last year we had over 350 people in attendance. And we record all of our meetings, so they're on YouTube. We have the Greater Triangle VMFA YouTube channel. So for people who can't be there but want to, maybe they need to go back and hear something again, they can just go to our YouTube channel and watch what the topic was about, the conversation. So thank you for the opportunity. And can I introduce the next person? Where did he go? Did he sneak it? Oh, there he is. My buddy, Al Lampkins, who's never been invited up to Wake Forest. I almost invited you today, but I knew you had something else going on. But Al does great work with the community blueprint, and the CVEB in Fayetteville, so please.
I live in Wake Forest, you come see me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for inviting me today. You know, often this work will help you to figure out why you actually do this work and why you continue to lean into it. So the reason why I'm late and tardy today is because in the Sand Hills, we lost a veteran last week who died by suicide. And so it's often those times that remind us of why we meet in such places like this to talk and collaborate and to figure out different means of how we can serve our veterans' families. I'll be remiss if I didn't go back and talk a little bit about, at the height of COVID, a lot of things were lost. We know a lot of life was lost, but organizations was lost too, where those communities are now looking for those organizations to, like, where are they? Where have they gone? I just want to give a little notice and thank the Sand Hills community for not going away. Community Blueprint and the CVEB, there were some leaders there and community activists that took part to kind of keep that thing rolling together, where I didn't have to start from scratch. So I want to thank Paul Berry and Susan Deckett for really working tirelessly to keep it rolling to where I came in, and it's been kind of seamless of redefining what we're doing in our area. So our mission is pretty much is no different than any other CVEB across the state, identifying and discussing, proposing solutions to improve our veterans' lives and outcomes and resolve issues at the local level. And that's included because I'm in the Fort Bragg area also, our service members and our family members there. Our priority focus is lined with really our social determinants of health, as you can see up there: social, housing, benefits, financial, education, employment, healthcare, and so forth. And so it's a collaboration between those social determinants. And so for each one, for the meeting that we host quarterly, there are co-chairs that I have that host one of those, that is able to bring in and talk about the different things that are taking place within each one of those areas. For instance, the VA, the HUD-VASH manager comes in and gives us great detail of how many vouchers is it. That's always a big thing throughout the year, and where she will brief the group and let us know that there's 480 vouchers that I have for the year. So far this year, I have housed 430 veterans. To us, we only have 50 more vouchers halfway through the year, right? And so We use the CVEB as the action arm for the community blueprint. So that information is poured into our monthly meeting that we host for the community blueprint. So some of the things that are working, consistent attendance, not just consistent attendance, the right people showing up there. For instance, we had the new VA director show up to our meeting, right, and listen to it, and we held, matter of fact, we held it at NC Works. 40 organizations there for her to show up and listen to the needs that's taking place in the community and be able to take that back to the staff. That's important. And then the community blueprint, monthly, 40 to 50 personnel showing up there organizing. Shared information across the social determinants of health that I've already talked about. But one of the biggest things that I'm really proud of that I'll skip down to is the connecting to the regional, state, federal, national, right? Just me being here today means a lot for our community back in Sand Hills. Receiving information from the governor's working group up and down the line, being able to share that information here to figure out how are we going to define the problems that are taking place there in the Sand Hills area, and then getting some information back. The growth of NC Serves has been phenomenal across the Sand Hills. Just about all of our veteran service officers are now using the system. Our NC Works across the state, across the Sand Hills is now utilizing it. And what does that mean to us? That means that that those service members or those military families that we're trying to serve, there's a quicker response to that as opposed to an email. There's somebody that's behind the NC Serves model, this serving, doing a great deep dive in, doing a good intake, and then figuring out where is the need, where is the help. And so that's collaboration across the community. Connecting with surrounding rural counties. That was 2 years ago when I came aboard. That was one of the initiatives. I wanted to be able to reach out to the Lee counties, the Harnett counties, to be able to better serve those. Everything comes into Cumberland County. And so sometimes those rural counties are left hanging out, trying to figure out, we need some help here too. So it's been very intensive about doing that. What is not working? I'll stand here and tell you that we're not perfect, not by the least. We're still working towards trying to define and trying to make the CFEB better each and every day. And so one of the things that I talk to all the organizations about is looking beyond resource fairs, career fairs, stand downs, measures of effectiveness. It speaks well when you say 200 people showed up to a stand down, but what happens a year later when Al Lampkins, who showed up in 2023 to a stand down, and he shows up in 2024 with the same problems? I have to ask, what is the measure of effectiveness? So we're talking looking beyond that. That means that, yeah, Al Lampkins, there's an onus that he has to pay, some things that he has to do also. But at the same token, the organizations that are serving Al Lampkins must now do a better job of following up. Is he housed? Is he working? Did he get an ID card? Those things, right? Not leaving them out there flapping. Last but not least, it goes back to the first statement that I made when I came up here about this work reminding us about why we're here. And it's really about saving lives, and it's really about helping our military community transition back into our communities to be healthy, to be leaders in our community. Each and every time, if you ever find yourself where you're challenged, where you're a little bit tired, and you're questioning why you're here, just think about those military families. Think about those who we are been asked to fight for, who don't have a voice. We are their voice. Thank you.
Okay, and one thing, Al, I want to thank you personally. It takes a great deal of dedication and personal courage for you to come from an event like that and come share your time with us. So everybody in this room really appreciates that. A handful of announcements as we wrap up. We have mental health awareness training, or MHAT. So as you know, throughout the state, we have mental health first aid taught by our partners at Veteran Bridge Home, Vet Services of the Carolinas, the UNC System Office. These are phenomenal courses. If you have any questions, I believe Alex. Perfect. Alex O'Neill from Governor's Institute is right next door. She is the brains and brawn behind that operation. So if you're interested in having an event, say if you have over about 12 people and want to bring in a trainer, she can make that happen. Or if you're individuals and you want to just get plugged into that, also please visit the GWG website. NC Strive. Call for proposals. So I'm working closely with Brad Wren and the Education Subcommittee to really dial this in and get us to the point where we pick up a good pace with these NC Strive events. If any school, educational minded folks want to volunteer to host this event, we have 2 grants available and are able to fund that and support it. And then, please don't stampede me, at long last, the NC for Vets Resource Guide 23-24 is coming out. If you're in this room, you need to be in this guide. If you are watching this on YouTube, Insta, Google, Snapface, whatever it is, you need to be in this guide. Please visit milvets.nc.gov/resource guide to submit a request form. This is something that year over year and everywhere I go in this state, I see these and I see old versions of them, I see new versions of them, and they are in use. And so don't think that print media is dead. It's alive and well in serving our veterans in North Carolina. So you may have seen an impossibly handsome, well-coiffed gentleman, John Camp, there he is, wandering around with a camera today. We're refreshing some of our videos, and again, the point of all of these and the point of what we're doing here is collaboration, is individuals meeting individuals, organizations meeting organizations, and finding ways to work together. As we try to bring funders and those who need funding, government programs, and those who need to partner with them, that's the whole point of the working group. And so we want to bring in new members. We want to fill up this table. We'll go 2-3 rows deep if we have to. We want to fill up these chairs. We'll go 80 more rows deep if we have to do that. But if you have a story to tell, if you have a time where maybe you've used the working group in the past to foster a collaboration or something that's benefited your organization, please chase down John. Worst case scenario, give him a call, an email, call me, anybody at Governor's Institute, and we'll get you hooked up. We'll put you on camera whether you want to or not. Like poor Flo Stein, who I ambushed earlier today.
May I quickly say, we're working on about a 2-week time frame here. This isn't some kind of idea that we're going to push off to. If you know somebody who would be good in this video to celebrate the collaborative successes of the Governor's Working Group, now is the time. Take my numbers on the screen. You can grab me at that email. I have cards on me. Ask me for them afterwards. I'll just be standing around. Please let's do this now and help us get those stories out there. This is how we're going to tell the success that is the Governor's Working Group, the story of that success. We need the people who can articulate it.
Yep, thank you. The remainder of the calendar year, we will go into a subcommittee closed session with subcommittee leadership and our co-chairs on May 25th. That will take place in the Triad. The next quarterly public meeting we have scheduled right now for 27 July. That may change a little bit. That's also going to be in the Triad High Point area, and we may end up shifting that to coincide with the Vet Benefit Live event. Finally, another Q3 subcommittee session and the 26 October meeting, we should be in the Charlotte area. So, all of the live stream, the captioning, register for email updates. If you're not on this and I've just chased you down and twisted your arm to get in here, jump on ncgwg.org. Please put in your email so that you get these updates. Meeting and agenda minutes are going to be available there as well. One final thing, if you haven't seen my favorite new toy in the whole world, the NC for Vets kiosk. So that will take you to the NC for Vets site. It's essentially the online version of the resource guide, and use that. If you're interested in hosting one of these kiosks at your office or location, let's talk. Let's find a way to get these in front of as many veterans as possible. So this concludes the scheduled portion of the meeting. We have some opportunity now for subcommittee breakout sessions, and those are going to be right here in the adjacent room where we had the exhibitors and coffee earlier, and just on the other side of that, there will be more as well. So this adjacent room is going to be housing, employment, and education. The other room is healthcare, social enrichment, and benefits, and health equity. Some of these may very well not have leadership represented or anything like that. Brett Miller and Simran Oliveras will be present in those rooms. If you're not already involved in those subcommittees and you have interest in it, they'll take down your information and we'll make sure that you get hooked up with that leadership. And so, once again, thank you very much. This is an amazing turnout, and thank you for your support, and have a great day.
Have you or a loved one ever served in the armed forces? Adjusting to life after service is a big transition, and maybe you're unsure where to turn for help. Here in North Carolina, we have a lot of resources to support you. NC for Vets is a one-stop shop for veterans to find the help they deserve. We have services that help with housing, healthcare, education, and a lot more. NC for Vets is proud to make North Carolina the choice state for veterans. Learn more at NC4